Now, the Dodgers' total disregard for the tax, that's going to have to be addressed. And really, the tier system right now of taxing, that was put in to kind of slow down the Yankees at the time. But now, the Dodgers are not driving on I-95. They're driving on the Autobahn. They're going 200 miles an hour. The other teams are going 55, 56, 65, whatever. And the thing that worries me the most is that this is going to lead to a work shutdown. It just is. So when the CBA is over, what's going to happen is that Major League Baseball owners are finally going to say, you know what, we have to get a cap or we can't go on. Because now I think the Dodgers and everybody else, there's never been more of a disparity between the haves and the have-nots. And I don't think the players' union is going to give it up that easily. So the only way you give it up is if you shut down the sport for a year. That's it. That's the only way. And that's what I fear. Now, one final thing out of all of this, if you're a Met fan or a Yankee fan or the Red Sox, the other big market teams, if the Dodgers can operate and suffer all of the slings and arrows of all the negative things that happen when you soar over the final luxury tax and still produce the Gavin Luxes and the Walker Buehlers, and I can name them on and on of all the players that their farm system produces. Well, then the Yankees can't stand on the fact, well, it's not because of the money, but it's because of all the tough things that happen to you when the Dodgers don't care. And the Yankees have a higher revenue than the Dodgers. They do. And why do the Dodgers have the ability to get all these players to accept deferred money? Because the Dodgers are owned by a hedge fund company, Guggenheim Partners. So what happens then? I think they've got $1.3 billion on this roster of deferred money coming up. Well, those hedge funds could turn that $1.3 billion into money for Guggenheim, where they're essentially getting the player for free. So once you allow corporations like Guggenheim to buy into a sport, all hell breaks loose because they're smarter than you in managing money. And all of these millionaires that are on the teams, they're all really smart. But there's a different level of smart when it comes to hedge funds, and they know how to play the market. So there's a lot of layers to this. Yeah, if you're not a Dodger fan, you should, I guess, be angry. But you don't have a right to be indignant, especially if you're a Yankee fan. You just don't. And at some point, the Yankees and the Mets and the Red Sox and the Cubs are going to have to explain to their fans, well, why do the Dodgers go past the threshold and they don't care about how it affects them in draft position and international money, but you claim that matters to you? They have to explain to the fans why it matters to them, but it doesn't matter to the Dodgers. But one more thing, everybody. Don't sit back and cry about the Dodgers. If you're a Yankee fan or a Red Sox fan, don't sit back and cry about the Dodgers getting so much better than everybody else. The ones that should be concerned are the teams in the National League, particularly in the West, the Diamondbacks, the Giants, San Diego Padres. Because they're battling the Dodgers in their own division. They have to play them 13 times a year. Look at the pitching staff the Dodgers are going to be rolling out. Tyler Glasnow might be their fifth starter. Are you kidding me? If you're the Mets, if you're the Phillies, if you're the Braves, let's even throw in the Milwaukee Brewers or the Cubs. Those are the teams that should be concerned because every team wants to get to the World Series. Now you've got this monolith standing in your way. Yankees, it shouldn't even be the slightest bit of a concern for them. They're not facing the Dodgers in games that count, really. They have 3 games in L.A. this year, but that's 3 games out of 162. They're not facing the Dodgers when it counts until the World Series, and then anything can happen. So one more time, Just to repeat, Yankee fans, you have no kick coming. This was you 20 years ago. You didn't mind it then. You can't really be complaining about it now. Now the shoe's on the other foot. Now that you should be lucky it's not the Red Sox. Then that's a concern. Then that becomes a concern. But as things stand right now, the Dodgers are the prohibitive favorites in the National League. And guess what, Yankee fans? The prohibitive favorite in the American League is the Yankees. So you got to let it play out. You got to let it play out. Yankees have the third highest payroll in baseball. So it's not like they're being cheap. The Dodgers, though, it's on another level. It just is. Let's go to the phones, 1-800-919-3776. Let's go to Jimmy in Staten Island. Jimbo.
Mike, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Jimmy?
All right, Mike, 100% agree with you. These guys are never going to agree to a cap. So the only thing the league could do and the commissioner can do is they got to severely punish teams like the Dodgers with draft picks, international money, and come up with something, because the Dodgers are going to keep doing this with this deferred deals that they do to these players. The Japanese pipeline is getting ridiculous now. So I don't know what the other owners are going to do unless they open their mouths and tell them, because you're right, it's either going to be a strike or just take away whatever you could from the Dodgers, because they don't care.
See,
and I'm a Met fan, so I'm not spoiled like the Yankee fan is. But now, like you're right, I got to deal with the Dodgers. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And as a Met fan, I'm glad you brought that up, Jim, because if you're Steve Cohen, now you've got the money that Guggenheim Partners has. You have your own personal wealth of $22 million. So the one big difference for the Mets is going to be, well, they've got Uncle Steve. Well, now he's probably been told by his general manager, David Stearns, about all the terrible penalties he had for going over the Cohen tax. He might say, screw it. The Dodgers are at 380. Let's go to 380. If they know how to build with that, we can build with that. Because Cohen does have that kind of money. Personal wealth. Personal wealth. I'm not saying that he gets that revenue from the Mets, because if he's going to spend 380, you know he's going to lose money. He's been losing money the last 2 years. Maybe that's why he wants to be under the cap or the tax. But at some point, he might see what the Dodgers are doing, and the Mets are directly competing with the Dodgers to get to the World Series, and he might say, go do your thing. Spend whatever you have to spend. Spend whatever you have to spend. 1-800-919-3776. And one other thing that Jimmy brought up, they have to penalize the Dodgers. That's the tough thing in baseball. You can't just unilaterally punish the Dodgers. It's not the way it works. It has to be approved by the players. Because anything you do to punish the Dodgers because they're spending all this money is in essence a salary cap. That's what the salary tax is, but it didn't work. You can't have something slowing down spending that doesn't have an absolute stop sign on it. A salary threshold, which is what Major League Baseball has, is only a suggestion. And if you want to blow past it and suffer the penalties, then you do. It's only a suggestion. In the NFL, it's not a suggestion. You can't spend over this. You're not allowed. NBA, NHL, you can't spend over this number. Baseball has long wanted a salary cap. But the problem is the players don't trust the owners to give the full valuation of what they're making, of their revenues. And until there's that trust there, or if they shut down the sport for a year, you're not getting it. You're just not getting it.